Buongiorno a tutti, esatto.
Thank you so much and good morning, everyone. Now, the effort required was an across-the-board effort from all the partners. I will show you an example of application required to our project. This is a wide demo project.
Studio ha visto la...
From our case study, we've taken into account the so-called symbol or representative apartments, depending on the technical features of the apartments. They have to be functional or, let's say, meeting our needs. This is a three-step process for the demo purpose. So we have written the demos of the different tools. We have applied this to our case study, including the installation of sensors to measure the visual and thermal comfort, air quality, and the use of thermal energy, but also electricity. Step number 3, this is the final step, validation of the methodology with KPIs. So the so-called performance indicators, thanks to them, we understand if the project is performing or not. We have worked with ALER, so the building owner. Data have been asked to ALER, the tool developers, in a way directly participated, to support in order to support the users in using the tools. We organized demo workshops.
Anche per affiancarli durante l'utilizzo quotidiano, ormai giornaliero.
At the same time, we have the daily use of tools, because now we use these tools every single day. They will also participate in the assessment of the KPIs. They concern important aspects for us because, when we have assessed the project, so you can see them here: timing, costing, user's comfort, energy use, pre and post intervention, economies of scale, environmental impact, surveys, appreciation surveys, but also quality of the process from every single player. So this is the building. Now, it is not particularly big, as Roberto said before. It is anyway split into 2 main staircases. So inside the volume, so to say, of the building, we have chosen some apartments that can really represent all the other, let's say, conditions describing the average behavior of the building. So once again, intermediate floors, top floors, ground floors. So you have different conditions, different orientations. This can be, compared on a later stage. Now, this has required availability from, the owners or the, let's say, tenants. It was difficult, to access the apartments, to install sensors, plus to do maintenance. The battery of the sensor that runs off, or maybe the communication hub with no internet connection sometimes. So, of course, periodically, regularly, our ALER colleagues have immediately solved any single issue going on. This is an example of what we have inside the apartments. We have multi-sensors to monitor temperature, relative humidity, and then occupancy, and then lighting, the content of CO2, and the presence of people, so that we can draft a report and making a comparison with energy used measured with an electricity measure or meter. There's a hub connected to the internet. So thanks to the API, we talk with the BIM management system, so the BIMs, that, of course, will make all of these data points available to other tools or other applications that we will see in the rest of the morning. We have thermal energy sensors, and they are not connected to the system. In this case, we have to do the manual input of data. This is what we decided to do. Most sensors have been installed inside apartments. I will tell you where and how. The electricity meters have been so-called parallel installed, connected to transmission hubs in the technical rooms. So in the caves and in the meter room, you know, they are sort of invasive. They may have created visual inconvenience to inhabitants. Don't forget, we are stepping into the home of people who, of course, want to have an elegant apartment. So we need to comply with the needs of the tenants. We don't want to be invasive. In terms of installation, yes, we had some issues versus our ideas for an optimal installation. So we considered the needs of tenants. At the same time, we may have had positioning difficulties. We had to fight against, let's say, the presence of fixed furniture or many other systems, for example, heating systems, thermal systems, or even cooling systems. In other cases, we have to pay attention to false readings because of strong light. We found the right position, considering the size of every room, so positioned in the middle or at 2/3 of the room, considering that this really represents the average quantities, considering, the environment we wanted to monitor. So we have to have enough visibility to monitor the presence of tenants. We measure the temperature of the air. We don't want to have interferences in terms of other systems already installed. The lighting level in the room had to be correctly assessed. Now, we wanted to really represent, the average or the so-called repeatability of the positioning of sensors in the apartments. So inside, this building, apartments look very much the same. Okay, so we looked for positions that can be used in every single apartment so as to make comparisons considering, minor differences. This means we could have the best possible description of the building. You can see an example of sensor positioning. They have been usually positioned in the living room with, temperature and humidity, and then the CO2 level, sound pressure, together with the bedroom. Here we only measure the temperature and the relevant humidity. In this case, you see another type of apartment, so either 2 bedrooms or 3 bedrooms. This is the picture top right. It was impossible to comply with our positioning rule because on both walls there was furniture. So it was not possible, of course, to interfere with the, let's say, decisions, of the tenants. Again, we don't want to, to be a hassle for tenants. Wall-mounted sensors have been positioned on the wall with a battery to reduce the number of cables and to reduce the use of plugs and sockets, even if, some multi, sockets have been installed, plus the battery so as to reduce consumption. due to the type of system in order to improve in general the system. Of course, well, every 2 or 3 months, we have to go back to the apartments to replace the batteries. Now, you don't necessarily have to read this table. This is to tell you that we're now monitoring 9 apartments. Now, we had 11 at the very beginning, then 2 tenants changed their mind. But thanks to all of these activities carried out in the last months, well, we got very good results. I mean, we have added 5 tenants. They have asked to have the sensors installed in their apartment. There are some, difficulties in terms of integration of the sensors, but we are solving these issues. Don't forget, we work in a building where tenants may have maybe 70 years old. In some cases, they are more than 80 years old. So they have some issues to manage the IT systems. So we've put together meetings with the tenants to introduce the tools and their functioning, to clarify fears and doubts, or to answer, questions. Now, it is a digital project, but anyway, we handed out manuals, booklets, so that they can really understand what we're doing, what the potential of the tool is, and how to operate the systems. We also put together workshops or hands-on workshops with many participants, plus the new extra tenants. So we have thanked, the participants. This is fundamental for the development of the project. The impact is positive if we are able to offer benefits to tenants. It's important then to work with them directly, repairing, software programs if not working, and also doing dissemination activities, giving advice and recommendations to reduce energy consumption. It is possible to measure consumption, and we know if the intervention, we have to measure the impact of this intervention because we want it to be as meaningful as possible. We also offered questionnaires or surveys that have been filled out by participants and tenants. For the time being, results are positive, so we are happy of this. So tenants like our activities. We also share the surveys with you. You have a QR code, there's a link so that you can fill out the questionnaire on the potential of the toolkit. If you are now if you are following us from home, please participate. It's important for us to collect this information. So please give us your honest, frank feedback, because this is what we need to develop the project. Thank you so much. I really would like to thank ALER, so ALER and the regional authorities. I'd like to thank my colleagues from the Politecnico here in Milan, Professor Dagnotti, the coordinator of the project, together with Alberto Pavanci and Cinzia Bolognesi, Mr. Signorini and Mrs. Peroni, with whom we have daily exchanges, and we've been doing this for months. But once again, we are working very fruitfully. Thank you so much. As Roberto said before, I can see here Claudia and Vincenzo, 2 fundamental pillars, if you will, for all the activities we carry out with tenants. So they are a great team we interface with.